Welcome to this video covering Operation Torch, America's first major incursion in World War II. We thank you for watching and enjoy.
By 1942, the Allied situation was desperate. On the Eastern Front, the Soviet Union was absorbing the full weight of the German military. Joseph Stalin demanded the US and Britain open a second front immediately to pull German divisions away from his crumbling lines. A direct invasion of France was considered a potential suicide mission. Instead, the Allies chose an amphibious assault on French North Africa, dubbed Operation Torch. This secured the Mediterranean, creating a massive continental pincer. With British forces pushing west from Egypt, American landings in the west would trap the Axis powers. Beyond the maps and troop movements, Torch served a deeper purpose. It was a live-fire laboratory designed to test whether a newly expanded, untested American military could actually survive a modern war. The invasion force was a monument to American industrial power. On the decks of carriers like the USS Ranger, hundreds of aircraft were packed wing to wing, ready to provide unprecedented support. But the equipment masked a significant void. Before the war, the U.S. Army ranked 17th in the world in size, falling behind both Portugal and Romania. They had the machines, but they lacked the institutional knowledge of the battlefield. American leadership expected a triumphant debut. Instead, the campaign in the desert would nearly derail the entire Allied effort. On November 8, 1942, the assault began. Allied troops waded ashore at three primary locations: Casablanca, Oran, and Algiers. While landings met resistance, heavy naval bombardments silenced the opposition. In Casablanca, the French battleship Jean Bart was left a wreck, securing critical ports. However, this victory came with a massive caveat. The Americans were fighting the Vichy French, a force with mixed loyalties, not the veteran German Wehrmacht. The ease of the coastal landings bred a dangerous overconfidence. American commanders assumed the drive inland would be just as straightforward. Allied forces immediately rushed eastward toward Tunisia to seize the high ground, but they were too slow. Berlin's response was lightning fast, pouring elite panzer divisions into Tunisia and turning the region into a fortified wall. These German units were led by commanders like Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, desert veterans who spent years perfecting the lethal maneuvers of mechanized warfare. The Americans unknowingly walked away from easy coastal victories and directly into a trap set by the most experienced tactical force on Earth. In February 1943, the trap snapped shut at Kasserine Pass. German armored columns launched a concentrated offensive, smashing through mountain passes with shocking speed. The battle exposed a failure of combined arms coordination. American tanks, infantry, and artillery fought in isolated silos. Leadership was disconnected, staying far behind the front lines. This caused severe radio delays and orders that were obsolete upon arrival. Americans also failed to account for German tactical flexibility. The Wehrmacht used rapid flanking maneuvers, tactics that green American soldiers simply didn't recognize until surrounded. It was a severe tactical defeat. The retreat was chaotic. Soldiers abandoned their weapons and equipment as they fled, leaving the U.S. Army's reputation in tatters. Kasserine Pass was a humiliation, but it was also a catalyst. It provided the brutal, undeniable proof that the U.S. Army needed to change every aspect of how it fought. The military responded with a leadership purge. Ineffective commanders were removed, and strict disciplinarians like General George S. Patton were brought in to rebuild the Army's backbone and restore order to the ranks. Combat doctrine was completely rewritten. Training now emphasized the total integration of tanks, infantry, and air support, ensuring they operated as a single, lethal machine. Within months, these reforms transformed the force. The naive soldiers of 1942 were becoming the professional veterans the Allies needed to win the war. The campaign proved that industrial power is only half the battle. A modern military must be forged in the reality of combat, where lessons are paid for in blood. The hard-won lessons of the Tunisian desert led directly to the successful invasions of Sicily and mainland Italy. The army that landed there was unrecognizable compared to the one that had struggled at Kasserine. Without the failures exposed in North Africa in 1942, the D-Day landings in Normandy would have likely been a catastrophe. Operation Torch wasn't just a debut. It was the crucible that created the modern American army.